Hey guys, my name is Rob Noire, and so I recently got asked a few times about how I record my gaming videos. If you're new to this channel, I do a lot of Let's Plays among other content, and obviously to do Let's Plays you have to have a recording set up and all these other things, and I've just had a few people recently ask me how I do it. And usually when I get asked this question, I will direct people to this series of videos I did about a year ago all about how to record off of different consoles. But recently I got a Nintendo Switch, I got a bunch of new stuff over here, and I realized that in the last year, my recording setup has significantly changed. So I figured, why not do kind of like an update to those videos where I show you all the new tech that I have, show you how you can do it yourself if that's what you're interested in, or maybe you just like my face and you want to watch me talk. But I just figured so much has changed, why not keep everything up to date and show the tips, the tricks, everything I do to make it easier for anyone else who's trying to do this themselves. So first things first is obviously my consoles. What consoles do I have? I actually have a shit ton of consoles at this point. Over here, I keep 3 of them. That would be the Nintendo Switch, which I use to play Nintendo Switch games, the Xbox One, which I use to play, you guessed it, Xbox One games, and I also have a first generation PlayStation 3. The reason why I have a first generation is because it lets me play PS1, PS2, and PS3 games all on the same console. So I don't need to own all 3, I just have the one big one there. I upgraded the hard drive myself so it could store a bit more, and it works great. Now over here, as you can see, I have a front loader NES, and next to that, a N64. And this is the same N64 that I had when I was a kid, by the way. A little bit of trivia for you there. Those I pretty much just use to play the games from that console. The NES plays NES games, the N64 plays N64 games. Below that, I have a Wii U, which I use to play Wii U and Wii games. It can do both, and that's great because it outputs HD and it's really easy. And then next to that, I have a first generation Wii, which I use to record mostly GameCube games and a few Virtual Console games. Now, like I said, if you want a really in-depth look at the majority of these consoles and how to specifically record off of each one, I'll link to my old videos. They'll be in the end screen and the description. You can watch those. But to give a brief overview and summary, what I use to record my footage is an Elgato HD60S capture card. Now, I've tried a few different capture cards in my life, and honestly, Elgato seems to be the best brand, and the HD60 seems to be the best product by them currently. They have other ones that are good, but I find this is great. The reason why I like it is A, it runs off of a USB cord, so it's portable. I can take it to a friend's place, record there, or use it here. And B, it will record literally anything as long as it has an unencrypted HDMI signal. So basically, what you need to do is just out of all these consoles, get an unencrypted HDMI signal. So right off the bat, the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox One, and the Wii U already output unencrypted HDMI. So all you have to do is turn the console on, plug it into one end of the capture card, plug the other end of the capture card to your TV, plug the card itself in, and boom, you're good. Boot up Elgato and start recording. Now, the PS3 has encrypted HDMI, so you kind of have to do a workaround. What I do is I have this splitter box over here, which basically has one input and 2 outputs. I plug my PS3 into that, and the splitter actually breaks the encryption. One of the cables I will run to the capture card, and the other I will run to my TV. The reason why I don't run the capture card to my TV in this specific scenario is because the splitter plus the card itself introduces a little bit of a delay when you're playing. There's a little bit of input lag, and so to circumvent that, I just run a direct line to my TV and there's no lag. Fixes the problem. Now for my N64 and for the NES, to get an HDMI signal, I run it through an upscaler, which is that little box in the middle. I plug the cables from the console right into it, and then it outputs through an HDMI cable. This I will plug right into the capture card or the splitter if I feel like there's a little bit of input lag. To be honest, I feel on the NES there is, on the N64 there isn't, so it can vary, but pretty much that just gets me that HDMI signal, run it through the card, and I can record. Obviously, I need a computer to record this onto, so I record it on my laptop. Something I didn't cover in my last series of videos is how to actually record off of this original Wii. Now what I have bought here, as you can see, is what's called a Wii to HDMI adapter. Now this plugs into where the regular cables of your Wii would usually go, and it outputs everything on an HDMI cord. So this works really well with my setup. It makes everything easy. These things cost like 10 bucks. If you have a Wii, I would suggest buying one. The only little mark against this method is that for whatever reason, you cannot record or play virtual console games when using this adapter. Whenever you do, it'll try and load it, and then basically there'll be no video signal output. So for that, you're gonna have to use the original cables, which for me, I plug into my upscaler, which then outputs an HDMI cable. If you're wondering why I don't just always use those cables, I find the Wii to HDMI actually gives slightly better picture quality. But it's just something to keep in mind if you're trying to record off of a original Wii like I do. So that's basically all my consoles. I also have a separate Windows laptop that I use for playing most of my Steam games. Now the way I do that is really easy. I just plug an HDMI cord into the output, the HDMI output of the laptop, plug that into the capture card, plug the other end of the capture card into the TV, and boom, it's like recording off of anything else really. And so over here you can see my main setup, and as you can see, it's kind of a clusterfuck of wires. A lot of people would ask why I don't use an HDMI splitter where it can take a bunch of inputs and output as one, and then use that. That way I don't have all these cables running along the side like that. And the reason is I've tried 2 different splitter boxes like that, and each of them introduced input lag. That's where you click on your controller and then there's a delay before the character actually does that in the game. And when you're playing games, that is a real fat bummer, bro. Like, it's really not a lot of fun. It really impacts the experience in a negative way. Eventually I'll probably try out a bunch more splitter boxes, but at the moment I like the way it is now. When I want to record, I just grab the cable. They're all labeled, as you can see. Like if I wanted to record off the Xbox, I grab the Xbox One cable and I plug that into the capture card. I'm good to go. If I want to record off the Switch, the Wii U, whatever, everything's labeled. It's all easy. It's all good to go. Now, so that's basically how I record my gameplay footage. Now, if you're like me and you like to have commentary and face cam in your videos, obviously you need the tools to do that. What I use for my face cam is a Nikon D5500 camera. Now, if you're gonna be recording video, I honestly would say that Canon cameras are better than Nikon for video. However, I find Nikon tends to be better for pictures, so there's a bit of a trade-off. This was honestly just the perfect camera. I'd used it before, it was right within my budget, and I decided that this was the one I wanted. I have upgraded the camera. I have a few different lenses. I have on the bottom, as you can see there, an extender battery pack, and I also have a Rode mic on top, which I use as backup audio. And I also use that as the audio for syncing. What I mean by backup audio is, as anyone who records anything using computers will tell you, a lot of times shit goes wrong. Maybe the audio from your mic, like this thing I'm pointing to right here, maybe that doesn't record one time, or it's glitchy or messed up. In case of that, I have the audio from the mic mounted on my camera as a backup. Now, any mic that's mounted to a camera like that is never super high quality. It's nowhere near as good as the quality of the mic I'm recording from right now, but it's better than just using the mic built into the camera, which is just absolute shit quality. So in a worst case, it's there, it works, and if I'm trying to vlog or record on the road or something, I have an actual microphone I can do it with. Now for this microphone here, this is an Audio-Technica AT2050, I believe. And I've had this mic for, I'd say like maybe 9 months or so, and it's been so good. I used to use a Blue Yeti, which is a USB mic, and at the time I was like, oh, my audio quality's fine, you know, like I didn't really see a big deal. And then I got this, listened to the two next to each other, and I was like, holy fuck, the Blue Yeti sucks, this is amazing. I also have another Audio-Technica mic, pretty much the same thing, but just like the slightly cheaper model that only does cardioid, and I use that as a second mic when I'm recording with another person. Now to record off of this mic, it's actually not that complicated. You just have to plug it into an interface that supports an XLR cable. This is a cable that will actually give the mic what's called phantom power. Now, I used to use a Behringer mixer. I used that for a long time, but eventually I upgraded to what I'm using right now, which is the Tascam MK2. Now, there is a trade-off to this. The trade-off is that when it records stuff, it's not crazy loud, which is why maybe you notice my videos aren't as loud as some of the super professional YouTubers, but it does record everything well, and it has an added bonus where it does not rely on a computer. Everything is recorded onto an SD card on the device itself, which means if my computer fucks up, I don't lose the audio from this mic. And to be honest, since using this device, I've had almost zero issues when recording, which is really kind of amazing compared to how it used to be. Now, of course, I also have a tripod that holds that up. As you can see, I have this ring light over here to light me up, or to light me and whoever's with me up, so that you can actually see us well when we're recording, because believe it or not, that's actually very important. And that's the main meat of my setup. So other than that, I guess it's time to really get into the tricks to do when recording. So when I record a typical Let's Play video, you're pretty much seeing this angle of me here for the face cam, recorded with, again, the Nikon D5500 using my Audio-Technica mic. And so what I suggest if you're trying to record a Let's Play, first boot up your console. Get the console running, get it going, open up your Elgato software, title it whatever you're going to call the video, hit record, get that all settled. Now that that's all done, boot up your face cam, and then boot up your mic. Give everything a minute to make sure that nothing fucks up, and then you need to leave an audio cue to make it easier for editing. What I always do when it's the first video, I go 1, 2, 3. If I have to record multiple facecam videos for the same Let's Play, which sometimes I do because my camera only records for 20 minutes at a time, the next video I'll open up by going 4, 5, 6. And so on. The third video, 7, 8, 9. And I always make sure to clap, and I try to do a different pattern of clapping each time, because this makes it easier for later in editing. And what you really want to do is make everything as fucking easy as possible in editing. Believe me, you spend so much time there. Don't make extra work for yourself. Okay, so you've got your facecam booted up, you've got your audio booted up, and you've got your game booted up. And you've made cues to sync your facecam and your mic audio. So what do you do next? Well, for me, example here, I'm getting ready to record some Super Mario Odyssey. So what I do is first I have to find some kind of a menu. For example, this right here, this screen menu that we're in right now, is literally perfect. What you need to be able to do is scroll through different items. Now this can be anything like a start select button on a menu or whatever. And what you want to do is you want to leave a cue to sync up your face cam to the game footage. And so what I do, for example, I have my controller right here. I go into a menu like this, and then I go in the menu and. Yes, I know, I'm making kind of a fart sound. What I do is when I make that sound, I press the Joy-Con on this, or the joystick on your controller, to move over, or to scroll through a menu item, and it's got to be just one tick. And then basically, when you need to sync up your facecam and your gameplay later in editing, when you hear yourself go, you know that's when the first thing moves in the gameplay, and you can sync everything up to that point, and it works perfectly and it works great. So that would probably be the biggest tip I have for syncing up your gameplay and your face cam, or your gameplay and your audio. Because believe me, if you don't leave a cue like this, it is literally hell. When I first started recording, I had no idea what I was doing, and it was terrible. That's why a lot of my earlier videos were kind of a real chore to make. But using this method, as long as there's some kind of menu or inventory screen where you can move through things one at a time, you're good to go. And another piece of advice that I have to make recording easier for you guys is after each recording session, whenever you're done for the day, take all those files that you've recorded, put them on your desktop or your external hard drive or wherever you store them, make sure everything there is good to go, and then delete them off your camera and your recording device in your computer. The reason is the next time you record, everything's fresh, everything's put in the proper place, wiped, and you can start fresh. If you just record everything one after the other and you have like a million facecam files, a million audio files, a million gameplay files, it can get really confusing and annoying to kind of like figure out which one is which and line them all up. And if at the end of the recording session you just get everything, there's usually not that many videos, you figure out which each one is, You store them, they're good to go. You don't have to worry about the next time. It's going to save you a lot of headache and hassle. Believe me, this is something I've been doing for a while now, and it's made things so much better. So to be honest guys, that's mainly what I do to record my gaming videos. Now there are a few other little personal touches that I've done, like for example, as you can see this wall back here, this is acoustic foam which actually helps improve audio quality and block out noise, which makes your mic sound really good. You don't necessarily need this. A good trick to know if you're able to record good audio is to go into the space you're trying to record and then clap your hands. Do you hear an echo? Any amount of echo whatsoever? If yes, it means your audio quality is not going to be that great. If no, like for me when I close the door and I'm in this enclosed room, there's absolutely none, the sound stops dead, it means your audio quality is going to be as good as it can be. And this can really make a difference, especially if you care about the small details. I also have blackout curtains over here to block the sun and block the noise from outside. I have a nice comfy couch to make recording easier, although it's only a 2-seater, and that means I can't really record 3 people at once. Although also the Tascam that I use to record can only support 2 mics anyways, so 2 people is kind of my max. I also have a green screen up there, which I've used a few times to record videos. I don't really like using it in my normal videos, but for something where you're like moving around, like, I don't know, Wii Sports or Kinect Sports, which I did a few videos on, having a green screen can be a good asset, and it costs you like 20-30 bucks at most. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot I can think about when it comes to my setup that I do. Obviously, when you record, you want to stake out a chunk of time. You know, you don't want to have 10 minutes to record something and you're in a rush. You know, give yourself a couple hours. That way, if something takes a while, you're good, and make sure, you know, you're feeling good, you're high energy, everything, so that your videos are a little bit more interesting and uplifting and you're not just kind of like a zombie, which happens to all of us. But I mean, that's really the gist of it. So next weekend, I'm going to do a video actually to follow this one where I show my editing process, because that's something I've actually never shown on camera. And I know that a lot of people want to know how to video edit and they have no idea where to start. So I figured that this could be a good segue into another video where, you know, I kind of show that stuff, give you some more tips and tricks for that, and hopefully help you out. So yeah, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Definitely stay tuned for the other video next weekend if that's something you're interested in. And as always, I will see you in the next one.
This shit, don't care.
Make it a blooper reel for this shit.
Oh, it'll just all be one blooper reel of the video,
Oh,
more or less.
awesome.
It's about how to record gameplay and let's plays and how it all works. I usually just kind of explain it as best I can or just direct you guys to Google, but